Wrestling with Wrestling's past and present. I'm Tim Church. And today it is episode 46, and we're covering a unique show today. It's Taboo Tuesday 2004.
And according to what Bruce Pritchard has said, he maintains that this was a shoot. These were legitimate votes. They didn't pick anything. They didn't know going in who was going to win. I mean, they tried to steer you the way they wanted by putting certain things in there, but it was definitely interesting to see the interaction they let the fans have.
Yes, so the fans got to vote on either some match stipulations, opponents. There's a choose your loser's fate match at the end with one of them. So they got to vote on certain stipulations, and yeah, according to Bruce Pritchard, this was all legitimate voting.
Yep.
Whether you can take that however you want, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Bruce is a liar, but maybe like I said, they tried to put three choices, and they put the best choice was the one that they wanted. You think so?
Yeah.
They put two lesser choices, I think, to try to steer the fans the right way, but. I mean, that first match that we're going to talk about had like 27,000 people in it. Did you want to vote for this guy? Did you want to vote for this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in that one that you can choose from.
So we have 9 total matches to discuss. The dark match here is kind of interesting. You have Sergeant Slaughter getting a win over Muhammad Hassan with Daivari by disqualification. I don't have a time on that match. Can't imagine this would be that great of a match. Sergeant Slaughter up there in years at this point.
Yeah. And Muhammad Hassan, I mean, he wasn't a bad wrestler, but his the timing of his character ended up being pretty poor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't their fault. It happened after. So it just, with everything going on in the world and some of the terroristic stuff was not, at this point, was just starting to get a little bit too much, because of the realism of stuff that was going on in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of, his career kind of took a demise because of world events.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because Sarge used to be an Iraqi sympathizer.
Yes.
When he came back.
back.
So yeah, it's funny that a lot of people don't actually remember that off the top of their heads that, here he's the USA, I'm Sergeant Slaughter, but it's like when you came back, you beat Hogan.
Yep.
Like you were the guy, the Iraqi sympathizer with
General Adnan.
Yeah. So it was interesting then, but I mean, yeah, it probably wasn't much of a match. Probably more just to get the fans going, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It's cool to see. It's cool to see veterans, legends come out here and there, and that can still go. I mean, Jerry Lawler just had his 50th year thing a couple weeks ago, and he was in a 6-man.
Yeah, 6-man steel cage match.
Yeah,
with the Rock and Roll Express.
Came out on a friggin' horse.
Yep.
And it was cool. They had fans there. It was in an outdoor baseball park. So from what I read, it seemed like it was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. So we kick off the show with the singles match for the Intercontinental title. It's Chris Jericho as the champion, and the fans are going to vote on his opponent. And like Roman said, there's a lot of choices here. You have Rodney Mack. Remember Rodney Mack? Yeah.
Nope.
Chuck Palumbo, Rosie, Val Venus, Steven Richards, Tajiri, Tyson Tomko, The Hurricane, William Regal, Maven, Rhino, Christian, Jonathan Coachman, who actually came in 3rd place in the vote. And this got a little bit surprising. Batista came in 2nd with about 20% of the vote. And the winner was Shelton Benjamin overwhelmingly with about 37% of the vote.
Yeah, he got over a third of the votes out of, and Val Venus had to withdraw from the actual event. He got injured the night before.
Yep, and that's why Coach was in there.
Yeah, so it was funny because when they named him, they were like, "Do you want to vote for this guy?" And then this guy. It took forever.
Forever.
They're in the big hallway, and they just keep panning the camera over, and then you see somebody else's arm. You're like, "Shit, there's somebody next to him still." They just kept right on going. They had the whole roster out there.
Yeah,
pretty soon they were gonna just literally run out of guys.
Yeah.
No more matches. That's it. Sorry. But yeah, no, it was cool. It was a good way to start the show. I mean, both these guys. I mean, Shelton Benjamin might be one of the more overlooked in-ring wrestlers. Now, I mean, he's still going around now.
Yeah.
I think that he's definitely an undervalued talent, I think, for what he can do in the ring.
Sure.
Great talent.
Yeah, I thought this match was pretty good. We covered another match between the guys. I think it was at Backlash 2005, if I remember correctly.
Possibly, yeah. It sounds about right.
Which I think that match was a little bit better than this one, but I think it was a solid opener. You can't go wrong with these two to open up a show.
No.
Kind of a surprise win. Benjamin does get the win to become the new champion.
Yeah, it was. I wonder if, no matter who won, if they were going to win this match.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how much, on the fly they did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, say Coach somehow won. Were they going to put the belt on Coach?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they decided that ahead of time. Like, hey, whoever wins this vote, we're going to go with them.
We're going to go with them, yeah.
I would imagine they had to do a little bit of that because they didn't know who was going to be, unless they saw that he was so far enough ahead where they were safe that he wasn't going to be over. You know, I don't know when they saw these results. I'm sure they could look at him at any time.
Yeah.
So that maybe they saw that he was so far ahead they didn't think that anybody would catch him. But yeah, it's interesting when they would have made that call to have Benjamin win, or if they would have had whoever face Jericho win. But yeah, it was a solid match. Good way to start the show. Like I said, Shelton Benjamin, probably one of the best pure wrestlers that they've ever seen.
Yeah. And he's having a nice career resurgence now with the Hurt Business.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's just he doesn't have the personality.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. The only thing he lacked was the personality. He could go. He was a good technician. He never really got hurt. It wasn't like he wasn't durable. He just didn't have that personality to connect with the fans like they had hoped.
Yeah. Next up is something that doesn't age well today. There's
a lot of that on here.
Yeah, there is. A Fulfill Your Fantasy Battle Royal for the WWE Women's Championship. So basically here the fans had to vote on what the divas at the time were going to wear in the match. And you had 3 choices. You had Schoolgirl, which ultimately won with about 53% of the vote. French Maid, which got 30%. And Nurse Outfit, which got about 17%.
I like how when Molly Holly came out, in my head I thought exactly what Jerry Lawler said, that she looked more like a teacher than a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
So,
and then you had Jazz in there, and Jazz is just not. She's not made for these type of matches.
No, I mean she's not and to quote Bruce Prichard, there was a time where Vince wanted tens. He wanted people that could be on Playboy, Playboy to be their divas. I mean, Jazz does not fit that mold at all. I'm not saying that she's, ugly, or she's not quote unquote a 10 by standards of the people they hired. That, So yeah, it was funny. She ripped the sleeves off her shirt when she came in, and but I mean, it was it was what it was. You kind of figured that it was just going to be a filler, which is kind of what it was.
It was, yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of pure wrestling going on in this match.
Trish Stratus last one by eliminating Molly Holly. I thought it was interesting to note that you could be eliminated by going through the ropes for this one.
Yeah, you just had to go through or over, and both feet touched the floor.
Yeah.
So you had, Nydia was in. Who was in? We had Nydia, Victoria.
Yeah, Nydia, Victoria,
Molly Holly,
Jazz, Gail Kim,
Stacy
Keibler.
And it was funny how when they were announcing people, they're like, from Korea, Gail Kim.
Yes.
Not from an actual place in Korea, just from the continent. It was just weird. And it was, and then they said Nydia from Puerto Rico or whatever. So it was just weird. They're like, from this place. They didn't say from Canada. Trish, it was just weird. It was random how they threw that in there. But, yeah, I mean, again, it was mostly filler, which is unfortunate because, Victoria, as we've talked about her, she's a great wrestler. Trish turned out to be a great wrestler. Jazz, for what she was a pretty good wrestler.
She just announced her retirement.
Yeah. So, I mean, she that's the thing about Jazz. She may not have had the looks of these girls, but probably was the toughest of the bunch.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe not that Victoria wasn't. Victoria was pretty tough for her too. And again, I know that sounds horrible to say it that way, but that's she was. She was for when she went to TNA and stuff like that. She was a solid hand of a person that wasn't afraid, and she knew how to wrestle. So
yeah.
But yeah, no. Again, it was mostly filler here, and it was more to get the fans in the building excited about them wearing schoolgirl outfits.
And to get Jerry Lawler excited.
Yes. Yes. But, later on in the show, we also have some more of that. Too,
yes, we do.
Again, doesn't age well. And the next match doesn't age well with the whole storyline.
No, it does not.
It's not my fault.
We have a weapon of choice match between Gene Snitsky and Kane with Lita.
I know what you're thinking. Yes, that Gene Snitsky.
And... well, I'll get to that in a second. Let's run down the weapon choices. A chain won with 41% of the vote. Then you had a steel chair with about 30%, and then a lead pipe
with the other 30,
with about another 30%.
It was pretty close.
That was pretty close. The chain ended up winning, and surprisingly enough, this match is your second longest match of the show.
And to be completely honest, Kane did Snitsky a favor here. He made Snitsky look like a friggin' animal.
Yes, he did.
He put him over so hard. It's too bad that they didn't get more traction out of it because the job that Kane did here to put Snitsky on the map. This match, even the commentators, Jerry Lawler and JR, we've never seen Kane like this.
Yeah.
I mean, he got dismantled. That was the one thing that stuck out to me is that Snitsky got put over hard.
Yeah, definitely. But there's a whole storyline where Gene Snitsky caused a miscarriage,
and mind you, Kane had impregnated Lita with his demon seed
Yep.
at the time. Again, doesn't age very well, and the whole miscarriage thing doesn't age very well either. One of their more regrettable storylines, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
There's been a bunch from the late 90s to mid 2000s that have probably been a little iffy.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely on the top of that list.
I think so. I mean, yeah, right. It's up there with the Katie Vick storyline.
Jeez, that was horrible too. But like I said, this was a physical. This match was a physical match.
Yeah, it was.
Both guys were swinging for the fences, and Snitsky, like I said, he looked like $1 million after he got done with the aim. He, Kane took that wicked bump off the stretcher.
Yep.
At the end, where Snitsky pushed it and he fell the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, luckily his arms were out, so he was able. But he would have fallen right on his head.
Yeah.
Because when Snitsky pushed the stretcher, it actually flipped the backboard the other way.
Yeah.
He was supposed to dump him this way to like, if we're looking at the computer screen, you're supposed to push him to the left. Well, the stretcher went to the left and the backboard rolled the other way and put Kane right on his face. Luckily, his arms were out, so he's probably able to. But still, he wicked bump at the end there when they were taking him out, and he did the chair shot, the chair around the neck.
Chair on the neck thing caused the internal bleeding.
Yeah, and so like I said, Kane made Snitsky look like a world class ass kicker in this match.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next up,
speaking of world class ass kickers, what a transition!
Yes, this is another barn burner right here. It's a choose your loser's fate match between Eugene and Eric Bischoff.
And mind you, they did the stipulation after the match.
After the match,
this one match.
And Eugene is the nephew of Eric Bischoff in the storyline.
They actually went into detail as to what that was. He is apparently Eric Bischoff's sister's kid.
Yes.
Which, I mean, we knew he was, but we didn't know how they were related. Which obviously Nick Dinsmore is not Eugene. Eugene is Nick Dinsmore, who is not related to Bischoff in any way, shape, or form. But anyhow.
So the choices were: loser has to have their head shaved, which won by about 59% of the vote. Loser has to wear a dress, which was about 21% of the vote. And loser has to be the winner's servant, which is about another 21%.
Roughly, yeah.
So, this match, only 2 minutes.
Bischoff came out as a karate guy, which he does have a background in. He's a shoot boxer karate guy.
Yep, so. Kickboxer, yep.
Yep.
So you got some early kicks in, but then Eugene hulked up, did his best Hulk Hogan impression with the big leg drop.
Yeah, it was... Again, talking of things that don't age well, the Eugene character would never happen today.
No.
Because they were making fun of, quote unquote, I'm not PG by saying this, but they're making fun of a retarded fellow, a special needs guy. And like I said, it doesn't age well. If you don't know who Eugene is, go look. Nowadays, that character would not fly at all. There's just too many people. It probably wasn't the best subjects then either, but I mean, if you're gonna have Lita miscarry, I mean, I guess Eugene's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, and then like you said, it was not a very long match, which I'm glad that it was. The way
it was just there was the whole part of the match was the after effect.
Yeah, which took like 20 minutes.
Which was like 20 minutes. Bischoff's trying to get out of getting his head shaved. Coach comes down, says the crowd wants him to be a servant, and
5 minutes.
For 5 minutes.
Go get him a soda.
And so he has to be the judgment maker because the audience wants something different than the internet audience. Then out of nowhere, Vince McMahon comes down with his
power walking down the aisle.
Demands that Bischoff gets his head shaved.
Or he gets fired.
Yeah. Then he makes Coach wear the dress.
Yeah, for trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes.
Which my favorite part of the whole show was when Vince said to Coach, button up, don't be a slut.
Yeah, he's like, oh. Well, and the other part about that, too, is when Vince looked, because they had it on the mannequin, and Vince is like, oh, goddamn, it's your size, Coach.
Yeah.
like what size Coach wears for your dress. But that was pretty funny, too. He was like, oh, damn, it's your size, Coach.
Yeah.
And he wore that the rest of the night, which was funny. Every time they went to him, he was wearing his dress.
That was my favorite part about the whole show.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Vince was not heel Vince here as much as he was playing to the crowd Vince.
Yes.
So that was nice too, because Bischoff was the heel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was. And then the Clippers. Whenever they do these, the Clippers never work.
I know.
They I don't know what it is about the shoot Clippers. they just never work.
Brutus Beefcake would not have been proud.
Yeah, I mean, they should have had him there to do it. I'm sure he wasn't doing anything in 04. What was he doing in 04? He could have been strutting and a cutting for the WWE. But, it's interesting, to say the least.
So next up is a tag team match, and we should preface this. Earlier in the night, there was a vote to determine Triple H's opponent for the World Heavyweight title between Chris Benoit, Edge, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels and whoever won obviously got to face Triple H, but the losers had to team up and take on La Resistance for the World Tag Team titles. So Shawn Michaels ended up winning, and I'm trying to find the...
By about 6%.
Yeah, by about 6%. He got about 38, 39% of the vote, then Edge, then Chris Benoit. So Shawn Michaels is going to face Triple H, so that means Edge and Benoit have to team up against La Resistance for the World Tag Team titles. They start the match. It was a decent match, but the storyline here is Edge leaves.
Edge was upset that he didn't win the vote.
Edge was upset that he didn't win.
He actually, before that match, right before the match started, went in and found Shawn Michaels in the trainer's room, because Shawn had a shoot injury in this, too. He had a legitimate meniscus tear that he worked through and then had the surgery right afterwards. Yeah. So, but yeah, he found him right before they went out and said, it should be me, it should have been me, all this stuff, and that's kind of set the bar, because when he walked away from that, he kind of nudged Benoit, and Shawn Michaels had to hold him back, and so they were already playing that Edge was not happy.
So he leaves like midway through the match, gets in his car, and just goes. So leaving Chris Benoit just to fight by himself, but he was able to get the crossface and gets the submission, and he wins the tag team titles for him and Edge.
Yeah, so I mean, you remember when Team Hell No used to say, "I'm the tag team champion"?
Yes.
I guess Chris Benoit could have been like, "I'm the tag team champion," because he was. He won the match by himself. And how come every time a wrestler leaves, they always come back?
I know.
I mean, it's so predictable when someone drives off in the middle of a show. They always come back.
And that's kind of a little bit of foreshadowing.
Recently, when he beat up all the legends, he
yep.
left.
Came back as a janitor.
Yeah, it's so damn predictable, and they've been doing it for so long. It's like, I want the person to leave and not come back.
Yeah.
I'd be like, holy crap, I would be shocked if they didn't come back. But every time they seem to come back. And again, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but every time. Yeah. Every single time. I'm leaving. Where's my stuff? Out they go. They come back. Every time.
Yep.
Or damn near every time. So.
Next up is another part of the show that doesn't age well.
I wonder who caught Carmella's boob. I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but Christy Hemme pulled out her
implant.
Yeah, and then threw one of them in the crowd. I wonder if that person still has it.
I know.
Just out of curiosity.
Hey, if you're listening to this show,
yeah, if you happen to hear us, and you have that breast pad essentially from her silicone, more or less are the ones you tuck in. They're not actually in.
Yeah.
It wasn't the ones they surgically put in, but they're the ones that make your cups look bigger. Yeah. And when they did the lingerie thing, Christy Hemme pulled one of Carmella, and again, not that Carmella.
No, it's not the Carmella today. It's not Corey Grace's girlfriend.
Exactly. Not Mella is money. But,
no.
And it's funny too. Right before this match started, like even Jim Ross is like, well, none of these girls had any formal wrestling training. Well, why the hell are they in the ring then? Yeah, they just had the Diva search, and I get it, but like, do they really need to be in the ring? Like,
and they're wrestling with like 10-inch heels.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to bust an ankle.
Yeah. So this is a lingerie pillow fight.
That's the one that won. I mean, what were the lingerie pillow fight? Evening gown match was one.
Let's see, evening gown match and aerobics challenge, which came in last.
I don't know why anybody didn't pick the aerobics challenge.
No. So just full of gaga. There's like no wrestling whatsoever. They're beating up with pillows and the feathers are going everywhere. Christy Hemme gets the pinfall win, but Carmella's shoulder was like 10 feet off the ground.
Yeah, and they said that as it was happening too, but obviously they just wanted to end that shit show.
Yeah,
because that's what there was no. It was this was easily the worst thing on the card. Easily. Yeah, I mean, again, it was to show sexuality. Is all it was. That's exactly what it was.
I think like teenage me got excited about this type of stuff.
Well, and I'm not going to say either one of them looked good. They looked good. Yeah, but there was no wrestling in this at all. There was like a tackle and then pillow and then a bad pin.
Yeah, a bad pin. That shouldn't even have counted.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even close. And it was another 2-minute fill, and it took longer for them to get dressed. They had those boots, those see-through boots that they could get changed in before that. It took longer for that than it did the actual match. Christy was in there for like what seemed like a half hour.
I know. The match only went about 1:45.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't age well today.
No, like I said, this whole show, there was a lot of stuff on here that like 16 years ago was kind of okay. Right now, it's not at all. So yeah, it was. I'm glad that it didn't go any longer than it did because it was not much going on there. And Christy would go on to do Playboy and stuff.
Carmella
like that.
did too.
So and she'd already done it before.
Yeah.
So again, this is the point of Jazz not fitting into that mold of the people they wanted at the time.
Mm-hmm. Something that does age well, though, is a match between Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Which, for some reason, didn't close the show.
No. And I don't understand.
When I was watching this back, the match ended. Shawn Michaels got... And again, I'm not going to get ahead, but he leaves. And then I'm like, okay, the show's over. And I'm like... And I look at the thing, and I still had like 26 minutes. I'm like, what the hell's after this?
Yeah.
And so I forgot that there was this other match after this. But
So it's Triple H versus Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship. As we mentioned earlier, Shawn is going through a knee injury.
Shoot, too. I looked it up. He legitimately tore his meniscus and had surgery after this.
They played it up. Triple H was kind of questioning it, whether he was really hurt or not.
Because Shawn's had a history. I mean, all you got to do is look at even his WrestleMania match against The Undertaker. He tried to feign a knee injury when he came off the ropes and he, knee, and, tried to sucker him in and whatever. Shawn's done that for a long time. That's been Shawn's MO, is that he's not above feigning an injury to get the upper hand.
Yeah. I thought it was a solid match. I mean, I don't know if it was one of their best matches. I think they've had better ones.
This one told a good story, though, because Shawn was hurt. Legitimately hurt. And they were able to get almost a 15-minute match out of it.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good match, really.
I did like the part of the match where Shawn is in the figure 4, and he's kind of pleading with the referee not to ring the bell, or kind of contemplating whether to stop the match or not. So I thought that was kind of a cool aspect.
And there was just enough Gaga in this because, like I said, Shawn did almost nothing in this match.
No,
because he literally was hurt. He was probably playing up the limp a little bit, but he didn't want to hurt himself more.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anybody in the business that Shawn would have trusted more to have a match with than Triple H. I mean, he trusted him to come back after being off for 4 years and having his back injury. So, had it been a different circumstance and maybe a different opponent, that match may not have happened.
Yeah.
I don't think that Shawn... But they told a great story because of their history, and Shawn stayed close to the ropes and, kind of swung and grabbed the ropes again, and a lot of punching and clotheslines and stuff like that, but there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling. Like, Shawn didn't do his off-the-rope forearm, nip up, elbow. He did the elbow. Which looked awful. You could tell he was hurting. And he hit a super kick, which, again, he couldn't stand up for.
Yep.
I know some of that he probably played up a little bit, but still, it told a hell of a story. And like I said, there was just enough Gaga at the end to make it think that maybe Shawn was going to steal it.
Yeah.
And then Edge comes back.
And hits a spear on Shawn.
With the referee's back turned because Batista had come out to help Triple H. So it was just enough Gaga to tell a story, make the match, so that way Shawn didn't lose essentially clean, and it builds a story for when Shawn comes back. Mm-hmm. So it worked out well because he knew he had to go away for 6 to 8 weeks or whatever to get his knee done and come back. So, like I said, like you said, it probably wasn't one of their best matches ever, but it was still a good match in the story that it told and how they did it. So. Sure.
So then, our main event is Ric Flair and Randy Orton in a steel cage match. Steel cage won overwhelmingly with 68% of the vote. The stipulation of the other choices were a Falls Count Anywhere match or a submission match, which would have kind of been interesting to see a submission match.
I think they all would have been good choices. I think that, but when you have a steel cage, I think that's going to win every time. But I think the 3 choices they had there were all pretty legitimate choices. I mean, Flair being a figure 4, that's his finish. Mm-hmm. Orton doesn't really have a finisher. That's a submission. But neither did Bret Hart and Stone Cold in that match. That submission match they had, Stone Cold didn't have one. So, I mean, they still could have told a good story if that had won. So, I think it still would have been good. But, I mean, you put a steel cage on there, that's going to win 9 times out of 10. Probably 10 out of 10, honestly.
So I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't too long of a match, only about 10.5 minutes.
Which is why it was weird that it closed the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why, because they had to put the cage down and whatever, and they wanted to end with the cage, because that's usually the attraction. Mm-hmm. But, again, like you said, it wasn't a very long match. They bled like stuck pigs.
Yes, they did. Both of them did.
Flair always looks good when he's bleeding, though, because it gets in his blondish white hair.
His white hair.
It looks like somebody took a whole thing of Hunt's ketchup and just dumped it on his head,
The finish of Ric Flair goes for a chair shot, misses. Randy Orton hits the RKO for the 1, 2, 3. Your typical cage match stuff. I mean, they're using the cage as the weapon.
Chair at one point when Rick tried to get out, Orton grabbed him, but he brought that chair back and it just happened to be miraculously sitting by the
right door. There by the door.
There's always that spot happens a lot. And for me, I know this has come up on some of Conrad's shows. For me, escaping the cage, the more you think about it, is stupid unless you're a chicken shit heel.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the good guy, why would you try to escape the cage? The good guy is supposed to be there to beat the guy clean. Not escaping the cage seems like the easy way out. Like, oh, I ran away, I won. Like, that seems like something the Miz would do, or Baron Corbin would do. So, cage used to keep people in. So to escape it, again, if you're not, it's not some way to like steal a victory, seems a little off. So again, you're not going to see too many escaping the cages. A lot of times it's a pinfall in the middle of the ring, or submission or whatever. Or if they escape, a lot of times too, you'll see it's always going to be some sort of close finish when they try to escape and they're both up there or whatever. But I mean, it was a solid match. It wasn't great, but again, it wasn't bad either.
No.
But I think honestly, for the Gaga that was on this show, and it seemed like every other match kind of had go. So they spaced it out okay, because you started off Benjamin Jericho, that was good. Then you had the Trish thing, which meh. Then you had the Snitsky Kane thing, which was good. Then you had the Eugene Bischoff thing, which meh. I mean, the stuff with Vince at the end was pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you had, again, Benoit and Edge, which was mostly Benoit. Then you had the Carmella and Christy. Then Triple H. So really, the only two matches that had like any steam with them together were the last two. So I mean, they spaced it out okay, so people weren't like, "Oh, this sucked." Because if they had put two of those real crappy matches together, people would have been like, "This is stupid."
I know.
So they spaced it out well. I'm not going to say it was one of the best shows I've ever seen, because it wasn't. But it was nice that if it was a shoot, to let the fans decide, and that's kind of cool. If that's what they did, which again, Bruce says it was a shoot. If that's the case, it was pretty cool to let the fans pick what went on. Yeah,
I definitely like the concept of it. The actual execution, I'd probably give this show maybe a 5.5.
Well, and we like it enough for in a couple of weeks we're going to do Cyber Sunday.
We're going to do Cyber Sunday about 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And, I think
not
that's
to jump too far ahead, but I'm just saying, I mean, we like it enough where that concept makes us want to do it again in a couple of weeks. And it, we're going to do Halloween Havoc 98 next week, and then Cyber Sunday 07 the following week. So, it's a cool concept when the fans legitimately get that chance.
Yeah.
And you can say, oh, we voted, we cut, but according to Pritchard, everything was a shoot.
Everything was a shoot.
And, again, for anybody that doesn't know what a shoot means real. It means that it wasn't fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it was probably, again, somewhere in the 6 range, maybe 6.5. Honestly, the best match might have been the first one, wrestling-wise.
That's what I was kind of thinking, yeah. If I had to recommend one match, probably the Chris Jericho-Benjamin match.
And, I mean, if you have a half hour, watch the last two.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Like I said, the Triple H, Shawn Michaels one told a great story for what it was. And it just... knowing that Shawn was legitimately hurt, and again, he probably played it up a little bit. I mean, I've had my meniscus torn. I know it does limit you, but it shouldn't limit him as much as he was making it seem.
Yeah.
But clearly he was hurt, and he went out afterwards. Give him credit for having the match, and again, I'm a Shawn Michaels fan, so I'm always going to say that. But give him credit for going out and having the match, because some other people might have said, "No, I can't."
Mm-hmm.
So he had the match, and it worked out all right. And like I said, that would be, like I said, those last two matches would be the ones I would recommend if you had time. If you wanted to watch just one, watch the first one, shut the thing off afterwards. Seriously, I mean, the first match, wrestling-wise, was probably one of the best openers we've seen in a while.
Yeah. So that's our rundown of Taboo Tuesday 2004. Like Roland said, coming for you next week. We're going to go back to WCW Halloween Havoc 1998. It is Halloween season.
Yeah.
This card is infamous for a couple of reasons. One of them is that the main event was cut off for the live feed because they overran the time.
Yeah, they ran over,
and probably the most infamous thing this pay-per-view is known for is the rematch between Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. It's known as Warrior in WCW.
And no, it wasn't the Renegade.
No, it was not the Renegade.
Legitimately Jim Hellwig.
It was Jim Hellwig. They're playing up the rematch from WrestleMania 6.
Yeah.
In this match in Halloween Havoc 98 is one of the worst matches of all time.
It's one of those things where it happened probably 10 years too late.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I say 10, it's probably more. It's not that, but it's one that happened at least 5 years too late.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Hogan was not in his prime anymore. Which is funny because he kind of went back into his prime when he went to be Mr. America. When he came back, like in that window, Hogan still had pretty good matches. Mm-hmm. But at the end of his WCW, towards the end of his WCW run, he was either he didn't care or he just didn't put the work in that he had been putting in. Maybe he knew that the ship had sailed and he was just tired of it. But it was bowling shoe ugly. Again, to quote JR, it was not a very good. But the card itself is a decent card. We won't run it down right now because we're running kind of low on time. But it should be. We both like watching WCW shows, so it should be good.
I do too. So that's coming for you next week.
And like we said, the following week, Cyber Sunday 07. So we're gonna go back to another fan participation show and see where that goes.
Yeah. So that's what the lineup for you the next couple weeks is right here. So we'll be back next Saturday at 5. Everybody take care, be safe. Until next week, Tim Church.
And I'm Roland Mueller.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.